Angel Reese's name became ammunition the moment a New Orleans fan threw it at Draymond Green. Not as praise, but as a jab. The heckler knew exactly what he was doing, because Reese has been placed on a pedestal her game hasn't fully justified. Her comparisons to Dennis Rodman were never met with unanimous agreement, and many critics believe she benefits more from spotlight than dominance. That's why calling Green Angel Ree taunted both sides. It questioned his performance and her stature at the same time. Caitlin Clark and Asia Wilson have carried the WNBA's recent surge with actual game-changing results, while Reese often relies on controversy and media momentum. When the tension showed, it proved how fragile the line is between admiration and overhyping.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
But this moment didn't just reflect Draymond's frustration. It reflected a growing skepticism around Reese's acclaim. Bam Adebayo showed respect by accepting the Asia Wilson comparison, acknowledging her impact. Reese hasn't met that standard yet, and the incident made that contrast sharper than ever. Even with LeBron James publicly supporting the WNBA's growth, his silence on Reese compared to Clark speaks volumes. If Reese wants to be taken seriously, she must earn recognition through dominance, not through headlines. Heckling only works when there's truth behind it. And this incident forced the uncomfortable question: has Angel Reese been celebrated more for noise than for undeniable greatness? Angel Reese just found herself in the middle of an NBA controversy she didn't even start, but her name is suddenly at the center of a conversation about respect, gender, and the unwritten hierarchy of professional basketball. And after what went down with Draymond Green in New Orleans, that conversation is only getting louder. Folder not found. Create new folder. Draymond Green. Here's the situation. Draymond Green got heckled by a fan during a game. The chant? Angel Ree. Over and over, designed to irritate him without crossing any official lines. It wasn't about praising Reese. It was about poking at Draymond's ego, and it worked. Green confronted the fan, flashing the kind of anger that doesn't come from simple teasing. The fan specifically called him a woman, comparing him to Angel Reese and using her rebounding ability as a mock weapon. The message was clear. Being compared to her wasn't admiration. It was meant as disrespect. And that's the key point. The fan used Angel Reese's name not to celebrate her, but to provoke Draymond. And based on his reaction, it exposed something that goes much deeper than one argument courtside. It showed that some NBA players are very uncomfortable being mentioned in the same sentence as WNBA athletes. For all the talk about support and equality, there's still a silent belief that a comparison to a female player is somehow an insult. That's a problem, and it says a lot about both leagues and where respect truly stands. Now, let's address the real issue. Angel Reese's name is being forcefully injected into conversations that her game hasn't earned yet. She has talent, yes. She rebounds well, sure. But the media push around her is getting ahead of her actual on-court credibility. Comparisons to NBA legends like Dennis Rodman, those didn't grow naturally. They were manufactured by commentators, and now those unrealistic expectations are coming back to bite. And that's where criticism is fair. Reese hasn't dominated the game the way headlines suggest. She's a rookie with solid skills and potential, but potential isn't enough to be thrust into league-defining conversations. That level of praise requires time, impact, consistency, and excellence. Right now, the spotlight is louder than the... That's exactly why her name is easy to use in heckling, because it triggers reactions before it earns respect. When Bam Adebayo happily embraced being called the Asia Wilson of the NBA, he meant it as praise. Because Asia Wilson earned that comparison. She built it through elite play and established leadership. Angel Reese hasn't built that level of legacy yet. She's been placed in that conversation, not carried herself into it. And that difference is everything. That's why Draymond reacted the way he did. The comparison struck a nerve, and it struck it fast. The heckler exposed something. Even when NBA players publicly support women's basketball, that support doesn't always translate into true respect. When the comparison becomes personal, many players still flinch. The fans saw that vulnerability and used Reese's name like a switch, and it flipped instantly. So let's ask the uncomfortable question. Can Angel Reese handle being at the center of that conversation? And does she deserve to be? Her rise has been rapid and loud. She gained fame quickly. She's become a personality online. But in professional sports, branding alone isn't enough. Some critics argue that her media presence is overshadowing actual performance. When hype outpaces delivery, backlash is inevitable. The fan in New Orleans didn't reference her game. He used her name as mockery because she's far easier to taunt than to defend. She's known more for attention than dominance, and that's not a sustainable place for an athlete to be. The summary of this incident makes that clear. The problem isn't Angel Reese personally. It's how she's being used. She's becoming a symbol of the mismatch between media narrative and actual athletic output. She's not being used as an example of excellence. She's being used as a line of attack. And until her game grows stronger than her hype, criticism will keep coming. That's not anti-WNBA. That's not anti-growth. That's just honesty about how sports work. Respect to professional leagues is built with performance, not marketing. But that's not the only issue here. The incident also reveals how women's sports still face a double standard. When players like Reese or Caitlin Clark perform well, the media rushes to declare them game changers. But when men are compared to them, suddenly those same names are treated as insults. That contradiction exposes exactly what the summary warns about: progress on the surface, but lingering disrespect underneath. And players feel that tension. NBA athletes may show support publicly, but privately, some still view the WNBA as an accessory rather than a parallel league. And even worse, WNBA players like Reese are being used as rhetorical weapons rather than respected competitors. That hurts women's basketball more than it helps. It puts pressure on rookies before they're ready, and it turns names like Reese into flashpoints instead of examples. Angel Reese didn't ask for this, but that doesn't mean she's exempt from accountability. If her name is going to be used to measure toughness or skill, she needs to prove through gameplay that those comparisons are legitimate. Because right now, the gap between perception and production is wide, and NBA players see it. Fans see it. The hecklers saw it and exploited it. The incident didn't get Angel Reese banned from the NBA, but it did reveal that her image is outpacing her credibility. And when that happens, athletes either rise to the hype or become tools in someone else's argument. Right now, she's stuck between both. The path forward is clear. Let the game speak louder than the noise. Until that happens, her name will remain easier to use in taunts than in respect. And that's a lesson countless athletes have faced before. Branding can get you noticed, but it won't protect you. At the professional level, results speak louder than popularity. So where do we go from here? Do NBA players confront their own biases? Do WNBA players distance themselves from comparisons that aren't earned? Does Angel Reese step up or stay in a media machine? Those answers are coming soon, whether anyone's ready or not. If this story pulled you in, hit like, share this with someone who's been arguing about it. Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe, because this conversation is far from over. And the next time Angel Reese's name gets brought up, it might be for something bigger than heckling. Let's keep this going, because the moment Angel Reese's name got dragged into Draymond Green's courtside blow-up, it cracked open something way bigger than one fan heckle. It wasn't just a shout from the stands. It was a spark. And the explosion? It's still burning through every level of pro basketball. NBA, WNBA, media, players, fans. Because this wasn't about trash talk. This was about how women athletes, specifically Angel Reese, are perceived, praised, and criticized in a space that still doesn't know how to handle them properly. The phrase, Angel Ree, was never a compliment. The fan used it strategically. He wasn't trying to be clever. He was trying to be disrespectful. And what made it sting? The fact that Draymond heard it and reacted instantly. That flash of anger. The way he turned around and confronted the fan. That wasn't about basketball. That was about identity. That was about ego. To Draymond, the name Angel Reese didn't register as a peer or even as a legitimate reference. It landed as a slight. And that tells you everything you need to know about how certain NBA players still view WNBA athletes. Not as equals, not as comparisons, but as insults. And the reason this moment keeps going viral isn't because of what was said, it's because of what it was. Now, let's address the uncomfortable part. Angel Reese's name being used like this is not a badge of honor. It's not about recognition or rising stardom. It's because her name is easy. Easy to say, easy to mock, easy to throw around when someone wants to get a rise. Why? Because her reputation right now is fragile. It's built more on marketing than dominance, more on media buzz than basketball milestones. And when your brand gets bigger than your game, people notice. Especially players like Draymond, who've been in the league for years, fought for their place, and don't care about social media hype. To them, the name Angel Reese doesn't carry weight. It carries irritation. And that's where the criticism is fair. Reese's game is still developing, but the media narrative has already placed her on a pedestal she hasn't climbed yet. Every other day, there's a headline calling her the next Rodman, the next WNBA superstar, a cultural force. But when you look at her numbers, her consistency, and her leadership on the court, it's not there yet. Potential? Absolutely. Impact? Not yet. And that disconnect is exactly why this fan used her name to poke at Draymond. Because it would work. And here's the irony. The same media machine that's pushing Angel Reese into every conversation isn't protecting her from this backlash. They're setting her up. By putting her on the same level as NBA stars before she's earned it, they're turning her into an easy target. This isn't new. We've seen it happen with plenty of athletes before, especially in women's sports. A new star rises fast. The media jumps in. Endorsements roll out. Buzz explodes. But the game doesn't always match the noise. And when that happens, respect starts to erode. Because hype only lasts until someone calls it out. And Draymond's reaction? That was the call out. Whether he meant to or not, his response said what a lot of NBA players are probably thinking but won't say. That the gap between men's and women's basketball isn't just about money or viewership. It's about how players value each other. And based on this moment, that respect still has a long way to go. Let's be clear, none of this is Angel Reese's fault. She didn't ask to be heckled. She didn't tell anyone to chant her name. She wasn't even there. But that doesn't mean she's above criticism. Because when your name gets dragged into NBA drama as a form of mockery, you have to ask why. It's not because people fear her game. It's not because she's dominating the league. It's because her image is bigger than her influence right now. And that image, whether it's built by her team, her endorsements, or the media, is drawing more attention than her performance can back up. That's a dangerous place to be for any athlete. Because once you become more symbol than substance, people stop taking you seriously. And in sports, the moment your name becomes a meme instead of a model, you've got a problem. So now Reese is in a position where she's being talked about more than she's being respected. And that's not empowering. It's unstable. Let's look at someone like Aya Wilson. She's earned every bit of praise she gets. MVPs, championships, leadership. Nobody's using her name as a punchline because there's nothing to joke about. She lets her game speak loudly. With Angel Reese, the volume is high, but it's not coming from the court. And if that doesn't shift soon, the narrative is going to turn on her fast. Because fans are already starting to question the hype. Players are clearly tired of hearing her name used in places it doesn't belong. And when the most memorable thing about you is the reaction someone else has to hearing your name, that's not control. That's vulnerability. Let's not forget, this entire incident started because someone used her name to provoke a man. Not because she made a play, not because she won a game, because her name bothered someone. That's not power. That's being weaponized. And now, she's stuck in the middle of a gender war she didn't start, but one she's going to have to answer for, like it or not. Because when you become the poster child for a league still fighting for equal respect, everything you do, or don't do, gets magnified. And so far, Reese hasn't said much. But maybe she doesn't need to. Maybe the best response is what happens next on the court. Maybe the only way to stop people from using her name as an insult is to make it impossible to disrespect her. That's going to take more than viral clips. It's going to take dominance, growth, maturity. Because right now, this wasn't a win for Angel Reese. It wasn't a moment of empowerment. It was a moment of exposure. And if she wants to reclaim the narrative, she's got work to do. Let's keep digging, because this mess isn't cooling off anytime soon. The fallout from the Draymond Green incident and the way Angel Reese's name was used has gone way past a viral moment. At this point, it's turned into a full-blown cultural flashpoint. And the problem is, the people involved aren't really driving the narrative anymore. The fans and the media are. And Angel Reese, she's become the face of something she may not even be ready to handle. And no, that's not an attack. That's a reality check. The second Reese's name became a tool for hecklers, it was clear the respect people claimed to have for her was fragile at best. She was being mocked, not for her game, but for the perception of what her name represents. And what it represents, whether she likes it or not, is a media machine that keeps putting her at the center of conversations she hasn't earned her way into. She didn't rebound her way into that Draymond Green level spotlight. She got placed there by hype, by branding, by the desperate need for a marketable face in women's basketball. But now, the consequences of that are here. And here's where things get even more uncomfortable. Angel Reese isn't just being criticized. She's being used. Not by Draymond, not even by the heckler, but by the very system that claims to uplift her. The constant comparisons to NBA players, the Rodman references, the obsession with her image over her numbers. All of that has turned her name into an easy lightning rod for backlash. Not because she's done something wrong, but because people are tired of being told she's next up when her game doesn't consistently prove it. Let's just look at this from a basketball standpoint. Angel Reese is a strong rebounder, aggressive on the boards, physical presence. That's a skill set that has value in any league. But to act like that alone justifies being mentioned alongside NBA veterans who've built decades of credibility, that's where the conversation starts to fall apart. And you know who sees that more clearly than anyone else? Other players, especially NBA players, because they know what it takes to build a legacy, to win under pressure, to carry franchises. They know hype when they see it. And when they feel like someone's being elevated beyond their actual impact on the court, it doesn't sit well. That's why Draymond, not because he hates Angel Reese, but because he sees what her name is being used for. And that reaction exposed exactly what the media didn't want to admit, that the overhyping of Angel Reese has created resentment, loud, unfiltered, unapologetic resentment from people who've had to actually earn their respect. And now we're watching that resentment spill over. This isn't just about gender dynamics. It's about how the game is marketed and how players are thrown into conversations before their game is ready for it. Reese didn't create this machine, but she's benefiting from it. And that benefit comes with backlash. Because you can't be treated like a superstar before you've earned superstar results without people starting to push back. And let's be honest, this isn't the first time we've seen this. We've seen it in men's sports too. Athletes who get too much shine too soon, the public eventually turns on them. Fast. Because fans, analysts, and players alike don't like being force-fed a narrative. They want the game to do the talking. Right now, Angel Reese's brand is talking louder than her box score. And if that doesn't change, moments like this Draymond incident will keep happening. Because at this point, the association with her name isn't just about basketball. It's become a cultural flashpoint, a commentary on gender, perception, media, and performance. That's a lot to carry for someone who's still figuring out who they are as a professional athlete. And that's where the criticism becomes. If Reese wants to be seen as a serious force in the WNBA, she needs to own that narrative, not ride the media wave that's constantly placing her in situations she hasn't yet grown into. Because every time she becomes the subject of debate, every time her name is used as a punchline, she loses a little more control of the story. The irony is, Angel Reese might not even be asking for this. But when you let others define your legacy before you've even built it, this is what happens. You become a prop in someone else's argument. And right now, she's not being celebrated. She's being used. Used as a jab. Used as a joke. Used as a shortcut to talk about deeper issues that aren't really about her but about what she represents. That's not power. That's not growth. That's exposure. And now, she's at a crossroads. She can lean into the fame and stay on brand, or she can shift the focus back to her game and rebuild the conversation around what she actually does on the court. Because that's the only thing that's going to shut all of this down. The hecklers, the eye rolls, the NBA resentment. It doesn't go away with interviews or merch drops. It goes away with dominance, with numbers that can't be questioned, with performances that silence every critic in the room. That's how you reclaim your name. But the clock is ticking, because the more this story spirals, the harder it's going to be to undo the perception that's forming. And whether it's fair or not, that perception right now is that Angel Reese is all noise and no substance, that she's being sold as a star before she's earned a shine. And whether it's Draymond Green, a courtside heckler, or fans watching from home, they're not buying it anymore. So what happens next? Does the WNBA step in and defend one of their most talked about rookies? Do NBA players continue to distance themselves from comparisons that they see as disrespectful? Does Angel Reese double down on her branding? Or does she finally quiet the noise by letting her game speak for itself? Because right now, her name is bigger than her resume. And that gap, it's not if she wants to last, not just trend, not just go viral, but last. The focus has to change. From attention to action. From marketing to performance. From being referenced to being respected. And that's going to take work. Not just highlight reels. Not just clapbacks. Not just style. Work. Because if the only time your name comes up in the NBA is when someone's being insulted, that's not legacy. That's liability. So let's cut through the noise. Angel Reese is talented. She has potential. But right now, she's not dominating. She's not elite. She's not Rodman. And being compared to NBA players isn't building her up. It's exposing how fragile the respect for her really is. And that's on her to fix. Drop your thoughts below. Do you think Draymond was out of line? Or was this always going to happen with someone like Reese in the spotlight? Has the media overhyped her too fast? Is the backlash fair? Like the video, share it with someone who's still defending the moment, and subscribe, because the next time Angel Reese's name goes viral, it might not be for what she did. It might just be for what she still hasn't proven.